Welcome to the Real Estate Guys radio program. I'm your host, Robert Helms. Bigger deals can bring bigger rewards, whether you're an active or passive investor, but there's a lot you need to know. It's our Summer of Syndication series, and we're going to talk with two amazing business people who help folks get exposure to incredible real estate deals today on the Real Estate Guys radio program.
If you love real estate and have always wanted to own your own business, listen up. The Real Estate Guys and their panel of experts want to teach you how to go full-time fast in the real estate syndication business. These next few years may go down in history as one of the best times ever to acquire investment real estate. There are deals everywhere if you know where to look and how to assemble the resources. The Secrets of Successful Syndication seminar will show you how to make big money doing big deals from a team of experts that have syndicated projects totaling more than $1 billion. Don't wait for someone to give you a raise or create a job for you. Attend the Secrets of Successful Syndication and learn how to build a team, raise capital, find deals, and make full-time money in 6 months or less. Go to realestateguysradio.com and click on events. All the big players use syndication as a way to diversify risk, optimize profits, and earn big money. You can too. Go to realestateguysradio.com and click on events.
Welcome to the Real Estate Guys radio program. I'm your host, Robert Helms, and joining me, it's our co-host, financial strategist, Russell Gray.
Hey, Robert.
It is summer and it is hot. We have been in parts of the world where it's been warm. I know you spend a lot of days over 100 degrees, and you like it. We thought we'd spend some time this summer talking about the jump from investing individually in your own account, qualifying for your own mortgages, managing maybe your own properties, into what many people find the eventuality of a path in real estate investing, which is the art of putting bigger deals together, what we call syndication. And a syndication is simply taking different components from different folks. Some people have expertise, some people have a deal, some people have capital, some people need tax benefits, some people need depreciation, some people need cash flow, and figuring out a way to work together. It's been one of the highlights for us over the years, and we talk about it a lot on the show, and you're probably aware of that if you've been listening. But syndication can be an excellent way to get exposure to more and better deals. Yet it also comes with some serious responsibility. Last week in our first installment of the Summer of Syndication, we took a look at both the potential benefits of group deals as well as many of the potential pitfalls. If you didn't get a chance to hear that episode, definitely go back and listen as we had seasoned syndicator and best-selling author Ken McElroy with us. Today's episode 2 of the series. On today's program and in the weeks to come, we're going to interview several successful syndicators from various backgrounds and markets so that you can get some insight into whether or not syndication may be for you, either as someone looking to passively invest or perhaps someone looking to branch out as a real estate entrepreneur.
And that's exactly the point, Robert. Syndication is really the leap from being an investor to becoming an entrepreneur. A lot of people are out there and they're working their day job because they need an income and they need to make a living, but they really want to build a fortune. And so they're investing part-time nights and weekends. And so they really take most of their spare time, their personal time, and dedicate that towards being an investor. And that's fantastic. The argument for syndication is if you create a business of raising money and doing deals, you combine the earning of money, which is exchanging time and expertise for income, with the art of investing, and you're doing that all together at one time. You actually can do more in less time. So that's one of the promises. The other reason why it's so important to me personally is, you know, I am a hardcore capitalist. I believe capitalism is the cure. And I look at a society in the United States of America in particular that's largely become financialized, meaning people, quote unquote, make money by pushing money around. I buy this stock high, I sell it low. I'm flipping in and out of bonds or whatever. I'm day trading. And the challenge is you're not really doing anything in the real world. You're not creating products, goods, or services. And at some point, if an economy becomes so financialized, nobody's actually doing any real work or building any real goods and services. That's not good. It's not healthy for an economy over the long run. So, you know, here we are, just a couple of dudes with microphones. What can we do to solve the problem? Well, hey, let's teach people how to raise money on Main Street and invest in Main Street and build things, provide housing, local farms. People are syndicating all kinds of things, self-storage, residential assisted living. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of the things that you can raise capital for. You create work on Main Street. You put capital to work on Main Street. You create goods and services for Main Street. Now you become part of something that is good and healthy for the economy. You're making money. You get back your schedule and your time. And the concept behind this series now is for people who are out there thinking, oh, that sounds good for the smart people, the pretty people, the privileged people, the people that have enormous talent or skills. And if you're old enough to remember the story of Roger Bannister, the guy who broke the 4-minute mile, he was the first human being to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. Up until he did it, it was believed to be scientifically, physically impossible for people to do it. Once he did it, like a dozen people, I don't know exact the number, you can look it up, but a whole bunch of people did it within the next 12 months. And so this is designed not just to be informational, but inspirational, transformational. The idea that you listen to this, say, hey, you know what, if these guys could do it, maybe I could do it too. And once you master the fundamentals, and you're going to hear from some folks that have raised a ton of money, but they all started at the beginning. And they started just by raising their first 50,000, their first 100,000, their first million, doing their first deal, and then their second deal, and then their bigger deal. And one day you wake up and you've built a pretty big business. You've served a lot of people. You've added a lot of value, created a lot of jobs, and made a lot of money. It's just a matter of mastering those fundamentals. So we hope this show inspires you to believe it can happen to you too, and it gets you into the game to become a Main Street capitalist.
There's nothing wrong with just investing in your own account and buying little houses and putting tenants in them. And, you know, you find your typical 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house in a market that makes sense. And maybe it's $200 or $300 a month positive income. And you get 10 of those. Now you're at $2,000 or $3,000 a month positive income. Many of the syndicators you'll meet in this series have surpassed that by a lot, and they're helping other people to make awesome returns and reap some tax benefits. So if you could do more deals if you had more capital, this show and this series might be for you. If you've got the real estate bug and you don't have enough of your own money, well, this show might be for you. If you want exposure to real estate and you're too busy to do all the work, well, still this show might be for you because you'll get introduced to some folks that create these passive opportunities. So we're super excited about the summer of syndication. And today we've got 2 extraordinary gentlemen on the program. You'll meet the first one when we come back. You're tuned to the Real Estate Guys radio program. I'm your host, Robert Helms.
Real estate investment advice right in your mailbox. Sign up for the free Real Estate Guys newsletter at realestateguysradio.com.
Are you achieving everything you want in life? What if there was a time-tested way for you to get everything you've ever dreamed of? The most successful people in life set goals and keep themselves accountable. But how? The good news is that it's not rocket science. You too can learn the skills and unleash the motivation that will create success in your life. Hi, this is Robert Helms, and I'd like to personally invite you to attend Create Your Future, the 2024 Goals Retreat, January 12th to 14th in Dallas, Texas. This unique weekend event has been called phenomenal, inspirational, and life-changing by the thousands of people that have attended. Hear from some of them and find out more at goalsretreat.com. Get your life back on track, physically, spiritually, and financially. Attend the 2024 Goals Retreat on the second weekend of the new year. Visit goalsretreat.com to learn more and get on the advance notice list. This is no dress rehearsal. Live the life you were meant to. Visit goalsretreat.com or call 888-489-7723 extension 18. That's goalsretreat.com.
Hey, this is Brad Sumrock, and I'm super excited to share with you about our 6th annual Apartment Investor National Conference, AIM-NatCon. This is the 6th year we've done this event, and in the past we've had world-class speakers like Robert Kiyosaki, Grant Cardone, Jesse Itzler, Ed Milet. And this year, it's going to be so many great speakers. We already have some lined up. It's going to be an outstanding event, whether you're new to apartments, already syndicating large deals, already have a successful business. If you want to learn how to make more money and pay less taxes with apartment investing, this is the event for you.
Join the Apartment King, Brad Sumrock, and our rock star lineup of speakers at the 6th Annual Apartment Investor Mastery National Conference, AIM-NatCon 2023. It happens in Dallas, Texas, August 25th through 27th, and you get all the details by sending an email to aimnatcon@realestateguysradio.com. That's aimnatcon@realestateguysradio.com.
Hey, this is Peter Schiff, and when you're not listening to me at schiffradio.com, make sure and listen to the Real Estate Guys.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Guys radio program, now in our 27th year of broadcast. It's week 2 of the summer of syndication. We're talking about the power of coming together to do bigger deals. And this week, we're proud to bring you a couple of folks that are doing syndication on a big level. Let's just welcome back to the Real Estate Guys radio program, Mr. Chad Dzednek. Hey, Chad.
Hello. Thanks for having me on.
Great to have you back. Last time it was Halloween Horror Stories. So as we know, sometimes things don't go well. But overall, you have had a great career in real estate. And take us through just how you got started in real estate to start out with before you syndicated anything.
Sure. So I was had a 7-year stint as a rocket scientist working on the space shuttle main engines, and then I followed my heart and passion in entrepreneurship and worked on growing a business with my brother. It was a lighting business in Los Angeles, and we grew that to about 75 people, 3 different warehouses, and then he bought me out. And during that 17 years we'd worked together, I'd met a lot of successful business people, and a lot of them made their money in real estate. So I started paying attention and realized that real estate was a big part of a lot of their portfolios. These were our clients that are the uber millionaires and billionaires in LA, and realized I needed to look a little bit more seriously into real estate. Throughout that journey, I had become a general contractor, and so I did a fair amount of construction management. So I was in real estate a bit. But then when I was selling the business, I'm like, I'm going to do this full time and just jump in with both feet. So that's what I did. And that was in 2018. And I got into multifamily syndications and self-storage syndications.
And primarily in California, the market you were in to start with.
Yes, exactly. So, a lot of us that get into real estate, you like to invest, where you're comfortable. I took that path. So I did actually syndications as a solo general partner, which is kind of rare to start out in. But yeah, I was the only general partner on all my deals in LA, and then before partnering on larger deals for out-of-state work.
Now, a lot of folks that start in real estate start with something they can kind of afford, a house or a duplex or a small retail center where they do have the ability to qualify for the loan, handle the payments, those kinds of things. But when you get into these bigger deals, apartments and self-storage, by the very nature of that, it is a business where you have to attract other people. Yeah, partnership, if you will. Some people have the money, some people have the deal. And so now, by the nature of what you're investing in, it seemed obvious. Take us through that first phase of your investing career when you actually had to approach other people to invest with you.
Yeah, so that is a bit of a big step. And I had done some investing on my own, both on the passive side and active side, just for my own real estate investments, but without partners or without investors. So I did that initially, but it is a fair amount of a big step to start working with investors. The stakes are much higher. Your compliance issues are a lot higher. One of the reasons why I've joined different mastermind groups to help kind of facilitate that learning process and learning from others, which has been great. And so, so my first deal I brought on, it ended up being 10 investors. We raised $1.2 million for a 10-unit apartment building in Long Beach. And it was a bit nerve-wracking. I won't go into all the details of that, but to do your first deal on your own with, that kind of raise was challenging. I definitely recommend, more networking and mastermind groups, or even partnering with other people. But if you do the right homework and you have the right experience, you can do it on your own. And the main thing is that you just got to get started. You got to take action.
I remember a couple years ago, we were talking specifically about this idea you had to branch out a little more and to look at maybe some other asset types and other marketplaces. And now you've got investments in multiple places, different asset classes. Talk about that evolution from basically a local apartment investor to now being in multiple states, multiple marketplaces?
So I think if people initially look at real estate, you might think of real estate as an asset class, and real estate's going up or real estate's going down. But in reality, real estate is made up of several different asset classes within real estate and different markets within real estate. So it's pretty important, I think, to have a good handle on what these different areas of real estate are doing. And what I did was I diversified, right? I was doing multifamily in LA, right? And that was most of my real estate portfolio, not all of it, but most of it. And I made the very conscious decision, like, okay, I need to invest out of California, because this was during COVID when I realized that I had some legislative liability issues that I didn't know I had early on when I was investing. I learned that during COVID, that there were some things that I couldn't control in my underwriting. And I needed to diversify out of California. So I invested in different states. I think I'm in 5 different states now. And then also, multifamily is, one asset class, but you can have like a class A building versus a class C building or B building, and those are going to perform differently. And I took it a step further and went into self-storage to kind of get out of multifamily, get into self-storage, work on managing boxes instead of tenants, 2 totally different businesses. Like, really, when you're in the details, they're different businesses. It's still real estate, so there's obviously crossover. But you got to understand that these different asset classes and different markets, they'll perform differently in different market cycles. So I'm working on diversifying my portfolio and working on diversifying portfolios of my investors as well.
Last week on the show, we had your friend and ours, Ken McElroy, and he was talking about the importance of protecting the capital, making sure that's what you're leading with. And I watched you do this. It's not just, I have a great deal, now I need to go find some money. It's realizing who your investors are, what they're looking for in terms of safety, security, risk, opportunity. And recently, you've just closed on 2 very, very different deals. And the reason I bring that up is, as a syndicator, that's an opportunity for you to talk to people about choices, not just yes or no, do you want to invest in my apartment building, but hey, I've got this project which does these things, and I've got this completely different project that does these other things, and have it be right for them. Talk about that and just the conversations you had with investors about 2 radically different products.
Sure. Yeah, it was a very interesting experience and very deliberate in having very different product types. So yeah, one was a Class A multifamily building in downtown Dallas, really nice building, newer build. And then I had a Class C property in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, which was self-storage, right?
Yeah.
So very, very different in the real estate world. But what's great about that, a few things. One, it is a conversation starter. So, the question that comes out of every investor's mind is like, okay, which one's better? What's the better investment, right?
Yeah.
So right away, you have a reason to talk to them. They have a reason to talk to you. And if you really know your investors and know their portfolio and they've been with you for a while, you can actually help structure their portfolio to a certain risk profile that matches the risk profile they really want, right? So in these 2 examples, these investments, they're very different, right? They have different return profiles, and you can't just look at it and say, oh, this one has a higher IRR or higher cash on cash return. That must be the one I do.
Right.
That's not the answer. You really have to peel back that onion and dive into it a little bit more. And when you understand what your investor is looking for and what their portfolio looks like and what their risk profile is, those are the conversations to dive into and help them make the best decision for them.
It's interesting that people have this impression that syndicators will take any money that comes in, when actually you get in these conversations, sometimes you recognize it's not the right deal. It's not a match. And a big part of it is matching up what the capital needs and what the deal is. Let's talk about risks, because there's risks in any investment. There's risks in not making an investment, right? Today we're losing money every minute due to inflation. But here you have 2 deals where they have different risk profiles, perhaps, maybe longevity, maybe, short-term and long-term. But talk about how you approach a client and have the conversation about what their risk tolerance is and what potential risk is on these deals.
Yeah, that's a very important topic to talk about with investors. And initially, they might not even know what their risk profile is.
Yeah.
right? I mean, it oftentimes ends up being an exploratory process with them, and you might not figure it out on one phone call or one meeting. Like it's going to take them a while. If they haven't already gone through this process, it might take them a while to really understand what their risk profile is, right? And even for, let's say, John Smith, even that person is going to have different buckets of his money that he wants to apply to different risk levels, right? So it's not like it's a one-size-fit-all person, like this person only does this type of thing. Like even within their portfolio, they're going to want to have different assets or different investments that have different risk profiles. That's why you got to get into knowing their portfolio, like I mentioned before, knowing what they're invested in and where they are now and where they want to get to. And with having those conversations and having a variety of different investments to offer, that's how you can really help to build out their portfolio and I think have a good investment strategy. The last point I'll say to it, and you briefly mentioned it earlier, is the last thing you want to do is take an investor's money that really shouldn't be in the deal, right? It might help you get across that finish line and be able to close escrow. But long term, like that's going to be a problem, right? You really want to start out correctly and have the right investors on board with the correct understanding of the levels of risk. Because if it's not, if something is missing there, then that's going to be like a thorn in your side that's going to irritate over time and could become a big problem later.
We say sometimes that's the most expensive check you ever took, right?
Yes,
If you don't do the work up front, which is why you have to get in those kind of relationships. And let's face it, it's a relationship business. Yeah, you want to put capital to work, but long term, a great client for you, not just a transaction, a great client for you is someone that gets involved, sees the results, appreciates your work ethic and your operating skills and your history and wants to do more and more and more, right? The lifetime value of a client. So let's talk about that side, Chad, which is finding people that are interested. We talk about you have to build your list as a syndicator. Take us through how you've done some of that.
Yeah, and that's definitely a long game for the most part. It's not something like, I love to say that real estate's the best get rich slowly scheme out there, right? And the same is true for your list. A lot of times it's going to take them a while to get to know you, to be comfortable with you, to trust you on these certain things. And everyone is on a different timeline. So person A might be able to get there within, let's say, a couple phone calls and within a month, and they're on board, right? Other people, it could literally take years, right? And I know you guys have seen it in your own business with your syndication mentoring club and inner circle, right? You've had people that have been a part of your tribe, whether they're listening to the radio shows like this, your podcasts, maybe come to a conference now and then eventually they're like, you know what, I'm ready, and they join. And some people can do that very quickly, and some people take a long time, and I've seen that true on the investment side as well.
We always talk about our motto is education for effective action, but what we love to help people do is collapse timeframes. And this is an area you've excelled in. I've watched how you have approached not just real estate, but business by, instead of being the lone wolf just trying to figure it out, you do affiliate. You do find mastermind groups and partners and just talk to that personal development side of making things happen quicker than they might otherwise.
Sure. And this is something I'm a little embarrassed about because it took me a long time to learn this lesson. I'm a definite, do everything myself kind of guy naturally. Education is very important for me. I've got 3 master's degrees. Like I felt like I always needed to learn everything myself and then go and do. And now I've learned, regretfully in my 40s, I learned that it's a lot faster to find mentors, networking groups, mastermind groups to really, like you mentioned, compress timeframes is huge. Like I don't have to learn everything myself. I don't need to go get a 4th master's degree to figure this out, right? I can partner with other people. I can invest in other mastermind groups and networking groups and really compress the timeframes, and I don't have to do everything myself. And what I've learned is I can actually have a better result when I'm partnering with other people than I would have if it was just me doing it by myself. So a little late in life to learn that, but wow, I've really learned it. And I do owe a lot to you guys on helping me get there. So thank you.
Well, I love to see the fact that you have the vulnerability and the candor, and you'll take the feedback and make the adjustments. And on that kind of conversation, we've got folks listening that are thinking, well, I don't know, maybe syndication's for me, or maybe I want to invest with somebody in a syndication. Knowing what you now know, what ideas might you share about either how they could collapse timeframes or learn whether it's right for them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do think you still need to start with education. You need to, learn about it. But then the second piece of that puzzle, which I know you guys do, it's a part of your mission, is effective action, right? Take action on that education. And for me, it was investing in mastermind groups. If we're talking specifically about syndication, which I think is an amazing career path, frankly, the Secrets of Successful Syndication is a great conference. I've been to it 6 different times now.
Eventually it'll sink in.
Yeah, you can call me a slow learner, but I'll tell you 2 things that happen and why have I been to the same conference 6 different times, which is, maybe 80% the same. Some of the content does change, but I don't go there for the changing content. There's really 2 reasons why you go. One, every successful or sequential time that I show up again, my business and my mindset is in a different place. So literally, you guys could be saying the exact same thing in March, and I come back in October and I hear it totally differently.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like literally the same thing. It's the same slide, right? The same thing. But I heard it totally differently. And now I'm ready to take action on what you mentioned. To me, that's been priceless in growing my business. The other thing, and this is really important, is the networking side of it. I used to be the guy that would go to conferences, I'd take all these notes, and then I would go up to my room and digest everything and take action items, make to-do lists, and I'd forget the whole networking part, right? And it's like that's the wrong way to do it. It's the slow way to do it. It's the hard way to do it. There's more efficient ways to do it. So now, I invest a lot of my time in the networking part of it. You really get to know the people that are there. And then if you're investing your time into a good group, to me, that's priceless. And that's the other second part of what I'm doing.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you sharing with us today. You've had great success, and I know that's going to continue. Thanks for being on the program.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
There's Chad Dzednek. It's the summer of syndication. You'll meet another awesome syndicator when we come back, and we'll play real estate trivia next. You're tuned to the Real Estate Guys radio program. I'm your host, Robert Helms.
Live nationwide. You're listening to the Real Estate Guys. Find out more at realestateguysradio.com.
Real Estate Guys listeners, are you tired of losing real estate deals due to financing issues? Have you had enough of waiting on banks, lenders, and investor groups to fund new projects? What if there were a way to eliminate all the hassle and invest in real estate on your own terms? I'm here to tell you there is. Patrick Donahoe here from Paradigm Life. I'm an Investopedia Top 100 Most Influential Financial Advisor, and I recently wrote a best-selling book about the financial strategy that changed my entire investment model, and the one that could change yours. To get a copy of my book for free and learn how you can maximize your real estate portfolio by acting as your own bank, send an email to mybank@realestateguysradio.com. Don't make another real estate deal without reading my book first. Email mybank@realestateguysradio.com now to get your copy for free.
As I speak, inflation is robbing you at a rate north of 10%. Last year, the number 1 zip code that Mid-South homebuyers offered income property to Real Estate Guys listeners in appreciated by 21%. To harness that spread and protect and grow your wealth in the current economic storm, you need the 2 decades of experience in renovation and management that Mid-South homebuyers brings to their investors. Every home Mid-South offers you will have brand new components, a new 30-year roof, and a high-quality renter, all in a price range under $150,000. Their empathetic property managers will use your ROI as their North Star, while the lack of repairs on their totally renovated properties contributes to their almost 4-year average renter stay and 99% occupancy rate. Learn about their lifetime occupancy guarantee and total 1-year maintenance guarantee by emailing midsouth@realestateguysradio.com. That's midsouth@realestateguysradio.com. You'll be glad you did.
Hi, I'm Robert Kiyosaki, and I encourage you to listen to those wild and crazy real estate guys. They're the best. Been working for years, and they know what they're talking about.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Guys radio program. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Make plans to join us in New Orleans, Louisiana for the 49th Annual New Orleans Investment Conference. It takes place the first week in November. If you want all the details to the conference and an invite to our private Real Estate Guys party, just send an email to neworleans@realestateguysradio.com. You'll get all the details and a special link to sign up. That's neworleans@realestateguysradio.com. It's the summer of syndication. We're talking about the benefits and potential pitfalls of investing alongside other folks. And today we've got two syndicators on the show. You met Chad Dzednek. You'll meet our next guest in a moment. But first, it's time to play real estate trivia. That's your chance to win a prize by knowing today's real estate trivia question. As soon as you hear the question and think you know the answer, you're going to send your best guess to trivia@realestateguysradio.com. Trivia@realestateguysradio.com. Be sure to send us your name, the answer to the question, and your physical mailing address, because if you're the winner, you're going to get an awesome book by Rich Dad advisor Garrett Sutton called How to Use Limited Liability Companies and Limited Partnerships. That could be yours if you know today's real estate trivia question. We started our Summer of Syndication series last week and had Ken McElroy on the program. We asked this: where is the largest library in the United States? Well, the answer is Washington, D.C., and it's the Library of Congress. The first person that got that one right added a book to their library, The ABCs of Buying Rental Property, from Ken McElroy. Here's our real estate trivia question for this week. Which U.S. state boasts the record for the largest gathering of people wearing false mustaches? Yeah, I'm not kidding. That's a thing. You know how it is when a bunch of your friends get together and all want to wear fake mustaches. Well, which U.S. state has the record for the most people getting together like that? If you think you know or just want to make a crazy guess, send your best guess to trivia@realestateguysradio.com. Give us your name, the answer to the question, and your physical mailing address. The first person that gets it right gets this very practical book, How to Use Limited Liability Companies and Limited Partnerships by Garrett Sutton. That's today's real estate trivia question. We're talking about the power of real estate syndication. That is when you aggregate capital and deals and everybody achieves more by working together. Our next guest has a very interesting story. Successful businessman turned reluctant real estate investor and now syndicator. Welcome back to the Real Estate Guys radio program. Our good friend Dave Zook. Hey, Dave.
Hey, guys. How are you? How are you, Robert?
All is well, man. It's always good to hear from you. You're in a ton of stuff. Congratulations on your appearance on Fox News. That's exciting. You're doing a lot these days, but it wasn't always like that. Take us back, Dave, to when you were a business owner running a successful business with your family and your initial foray into real estate investing.
Yeah, so it was quite an interesting journey. Early on in my career, I saw my dad investing in real estate, and I saw him self-manage some real estate, some single-family homes, and I quickly decided that wasn't going to be me when I grew up.
Yeah.
So I started investing in businesses. I founded several, and several of them were around the modular building space. I grew up in the modular building space. So since I had decided I was never going to be a real estate investor, I sort of found myself in that space, and immersed myself in the space and grew a couple of those businesses to the point where they were doing really well. And I got into a situation where I was paying $500,000 a year in tax. And out of desperation to get out of that tax burden, I started getting around some people. I hunted you guys down. I hunted down Robert Kiyosaki. It drove me crazy. He was telling me I could make millions of dollars a year and pay no tax, and I had to figure out what that was all about. So I got in through that door, and I quickly realized these guys were using real estate, multifamily apartments, and cost segregation studies, and bonus depreciation. I started learning a new language that I had never learned before, because I was taught you make a lot of money, you got to pay a lot of tax, right? So I came in through that door, and it changed my life.
It's so interesting that because that was, if you will, your bleeding neck, this big tax bill that you had to pay, obligated to pay, weren't happy about paying, but you make a lot of money, you pay some tax. And then you discovered this world of tax mitigation, all legal and all through various vehicles. Today, you have quite a portfolio of different tax advantaged investments, but that was the thing that really drove you into it. I remember the first, one of the first multifamily deals you did, and we were on our trip to Memphis, Tennessee. We went and looked at a bunch of properties, and you got pretty ingrained in that market. I remember walking through one of those bigger complexes with you, just looking at where all the upside was, and it was really tactical stuff. And at that point, I believe you just had family members that you were doing the deals with. Is that how it worked?
Yeah, so I bought several hundred units on my own, ran out of my own money, invited my dad and my brothers into some deals with me until we were all out of money. And, that's when I reached out. And, now I had a good team built up down there. I had brokers and lenders and insurance. I had the whole sort of infrastructure built around the deals that we were doing. So when the next deal came about and I needed some cash, I reached out to some fellow business owners. They're just local here in the area. I went to see them and I said, hey, here's what we're doing. And here's the opportunity. Would you like to be a part of it? And so that's how I sort of fell into the syndication space. And as soon as I realized that that's what I wanted to do, I knew I wanted to get around people who were doing it and educate myself and, really kind of shortcut that process.
Well, and that's a big part of it, right? It's daunting at first to think about raising money from other people and all the realities around that. But if you are around folks that are doing it and understand it and kind of lead the way, help pave the path a little bit, it certainly helps. Take us through that part of it, because it's very different when somebody is investing in their own account, which is what you did at first, and then you bring along, some family members. Okay, well, we're family. We can handle this and talk through all the pros and cons and risks and rewards. But when you start to invite other people, folks that aren't related, that you have a relationship with, but maybe it's just on a acquaintance level or business level, now you've got this reality that you are putting other people's money to work. Talk through managing your psychology as that happens.
That one kept me up at night. That's a different level. And it's one thing when you lose your own money in a deal. It's quite another thing when you lose somebody else's money. And so, that's why I took it so serious. And that's why I got the training. I probably spent more on my education in my, early 30s when it came to do with raising capital and syndication and how to do it right. And, kind of putting those pieces in place than the folks that go to Harvard or some of the Ivy League schools. I took it serious, and it was because of that. It was nobody wants to go through that. And, if you do this long enough, it'll happen. It just might happen, but you can put the pieces in place. You can put the team members around you. You can help manage that and make that a much less likely event and really be successful at it when you get those right players and around you.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned team members, because this is one of the areas that you shine. You have made it part of your practice to affiliate with folks that are not just okay in terms of their knowledge, but they really know the business that they're in. Talk about the difference between trying to do it all yourself and affiliating with people that are further along than you are.
When I look at an asset class and I'm totally convinced that asset class, I want a piece of that. I want that in my portfolio. The very next thing I do is not necessarily go find that asset. I go find the players. I go find the professionals. And really what I'm looking for is somebody that, that's their one thing. That's what they've been doing for decades. When you can partner with somebody who has a long track record of success and we can point to, and that's kind of their one thing, your chances of success goes up a lot. Could you dive in and learn it all yourself? Yeah, you could. But a big shortcut can be to go to somebody who's been doing it a long time and has a a long track record of success.
And you found all kinds of amazing people. And one of the unique things about your business, Dave, is you aren't just in a single lane, if you will. You look at lots of different types of deals. I remember when you first started getting interested in uranium, you had a gentleman come speak, one of the foremost experts on uranium in the world. I had a chance to meet him at your event. I'm like, wow, this I've learned more about uranium in this 2 hours than, in 20 years before. But you really do put your kind of heart and soul into it. And the other thing that you've done, which I think is kind of unique, is you kind of test out the water yourself first. I remember specifically when you started sharing with us this investment in ATMs, automated teller machines. And before you took that to investors, you had been personally investing in it for a number of years.
I started that as a passive investor, and I really like these guys. I love the asset class for a couple reasons. Very aggressive cash flow, and also, 100% bonus depreciation. You're buying an equipment, and really, it's a real estate play. You're monetizing a 2-foot by 2-foot piece of real estate.
Right.
But yeah, so I never once, in those first 3 or 4 years that I was investing in ATM machines, I never once looked at an ATM investment as something that you could syndicate. Everybody I knew was syndicating apartment buildings, or maybe a few self-storage guys or something like that. But when they came to me and said, "Hey, we've been watching you over here do your apartment thing. Can you come over here and partner with us?" And so after investing in ATM for almost 4 years, they approached me to come and partner with them. So I opened up my mind a little bit, and I was like, well, hey, this asset class really works for me. This goes right along with what we teach, investing for cash flow and living the tax efficient life. And so, I ventured into the kind of dipped my toe in the water and kind of threw it out to some of my investors. Hey, what do you think of this? And next thing you know, they're all over it. And we took that fund from a small friends and family fund to now one of the top 4 in the country.
Yeah, amazing stuff. Well, let's talk about the other side, because certainly as a syndicator and folks that are thinking, man, maybe I'd like to be in this business, you do have to go find the deals. You have to affiliate with brokers or operators, and that's an important part. But the other side of the business is talking to folks about investing passively. You had done some passive investing, so you understood that. But because of this reason that brought you into syndication and into real estate, the tax savings, I know one of your big talking points is you love to sit with folks that have a similar tax problem and show them how this kind of investment can help mitigate some of that.
Yeah, well, it changed my life. When I got to the point where I got my own tax liability under control, I quickly figured out there's a lot of other people that were in the same sort of mindset. And it's amazing to me how successful a business person can be. And they take this business idea from an idea, and a decade or two later, it's a flourishing business, and they built real wealth for themselves and their family. But they oftentimes still don't get the whole tax thing.
Right.
And so when you get to sit down and explain that to them and kind of walk them through the process and really educate them around the same way I was educated, like the whole myth about if you make a lot of money, you got to pay a lot of tax just isn't always true. And so when you walk them down that path and kind of watch them or help them make decisions that get themselves tax efficient, and then kind of watch the light bulbs come on, that's just a lot of fun.
Well, and it really does help people in a way that is not instantly obvious. You've got folks with successful businesses, or maybe they have a W-2 job and they're making a lot of money, but they're paying a lot of tax, and you can show them a better way. It certainly does help those folks, and it helps grow your business. As we've been friends for a long time and watched your business grow, you've continued to raise more and more capital. Here we are in the summer of syndication 2023. If you're willing to share, how much capital have you raised, Dave?
I don't know exactly, but it's approaching $1 billion. So it's somewhere between 900 and $1 billion.
Wow. Well, we will have that celebration when you reach $1 billion. I don't want that to throw people off. It's why I didn't want to start there. I think at our last seminar, we were calling you the $800 million man, now 900 and pretty soon $1 billion, and no signs of stopping. But that can be overwhelming for folks to go, wow, that is so much. But what I think people need to understand is, for the most part, as you built your business, you were raising that money $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 at a time.
You know, when I started in this space, I thought that, man, if I could just raise my BHAG was like 3 to 5 million. Man, if I could just raise like $3 million, maybe $5 million, I thought that would be a really big deal.
Wow.
And, here we are 7-8 years later, and we're almost at $1 billion, but there's lots to learn. It was quite a journey. It's still lots to learn. And, but again, it's about getting around the right people. It's about getting really good teams around you, really good operations teams. Somebody got to make this asset work. If somebody's out there in the field, and, we're talking ATMs, but got a great car wash team that, that's all they do is car wash. And when you get a really good asset class that does a number of things like cash, delivers cash flow or equity growth, or helps you get to the point where you live in the tax efficient life, it's just a lot of fun. You put a really good team around that and build that up and scale that. Everybody wins.
Well, we've been asking you to come out to our Secrets of Successful Syndication event quite regularly. You attended that event as you were learning, and today you're one of our faculty members. So if folks want to learn more about you and your story, rub elbows with you, talk about that, they should come out to the Secrets of Successful Syndication in October. But Dave, you maybe got some folks in the audience that have only ever invested themselves. They've bought single-family houses or retail strip malls or apartment buildings, and now they're thinking, well, maybe syndication makes sense. What would you tell someone like that?
Go after it. Do it. Not every light has to be green. If you wait till all the stars align, it's probably not going to happen for you, but just, venture out into the space, educate yourself first, whatever you got to do to get around people that are doing it, people that will help guide and mentor you, get that education. That'll shortcut the process. If that's on your heart, if you really, when I got into this space, I ran into some challenges early, and I thought about hanging it up. I really didn't have to do it for financial reasons, but I knew that it was what I wanted to do. I knew that it's what I wanted to do for a long, long time. And so if that's you, educate yourself, get around the people that are doing it, and just go make it happen.
All right, good stuff. Hey, if folks are interested in what an investment opportunity looks like in ATM machines or even car washes, which is quite the real estate play, Dave's got a couple of great reports available. You can send an email to atm@realestateguysradio.com to learn about that opportunity, or car wash at realestateguysradio.com, and you can learn more. Dave, looking forward to having you at the upcoming Secrets of Successful Syndication in October. I know folks always learn from you.
I'm looking forward to being there.
There's Dave Zook, the real asset investor. More when we come back. You're tuned to the Real Estate Guys radio program. I'm your host, Robert Helms.
Need help with your real estate investment portfolio? Check out the resources page at realestateguysradio.com.
If you've been listening to the Real Estate Guys for a while, then you've heard about the legendary Investor Summit. Simply put, it's the highest level event we do, and the content, faculty, and attendees are amazing. If you're serious about taking your real estate investing to the next level, consider joining us. You'll spend more than a week with like-minded investors, world-class educators, and real-world professionals, and you'll have a blast. It all takes place next summer, so to get the details before they're released to the general public, send an email to summit@realestateguysradio.com with the subject Summit 2024. We'll add you to the advance notice list, and you'll be invited to spend a fun-filled week learning and networking with more than 25 class sessions and breakouts, plus small format roundtable discussions, great dinner conversations, and a ton of fun. Send an email to summit@realestateguysradio.com with the subject Summit 2024 and be among the first to get the details to join the Real Estate Guys and an all-star faculty on the 22nd Annual Investor Summit. The Real Estate Guys are throwing a party and you're invited. Join us at the New Orleans Investment Conference, November 1st through 4th. Now in its 49th year, it's the world's longest-running investment conference and features some of the biggest names in economics and investing, including James Rickards, George Gammon, Danielle DiMartino Booth, Rick Rule, and Peter Schiff. The Real Estate Guys are speaking in multiple sessions, attending lots of others, and we're hosting an invitation-only party one of the evenings for our friends and listeners, including some VIPs for you to mingle with. So make your plans to join the Real Estate Guys, the New Orleans Investment Conference. With all that's going on in the world, no serious investor can afford to miss it. Send an email to neworleans@realestateguysradio.com and we'll get you all the details. That's neworleans@realestateguysradio.com. And we'll see you there.
Hi guys, my name is George Gammon from the Rebel Capitalist Show, and you are listening to the Real Estate Guys, my favorite podcast when it comes to macroeconomics and real estate investing.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Guys radio program. Thanks for tuning into the show. Hey, if all this talk about syndication has you interested, come on out to the Secrets of Successful Syndication, our 2-day event. It takes place October 6th and 7th in Dallas, Texas. If you're listening to the show later on, well, just check the website because we do this event a couple of times a year. Just go to realestateguysradio.com under events. You'll see the Secrets of Successful Syndication. Well, there's a couple of successful syndicators, Chad Dzednek and David Zook.
It's fun. We've been very fortunate to be around a lot of different people who approach the business from different backgrounds and different asset classes in different ways. And obviously, Dave grew up in a small business town and raised by a small businessman and worked in small businesses most of his life. He could understand kind of how that works and the relationships. And then you got Chad, rocket scientist, right? This guy, 3 MBAs, and typical what Robert Kiyosaki would say, A student, somebody who feels like they need to do everything themselves. They need to understand everything. And I know that in our program, when we're talking to syndicators and kind of coaching them through the transition from either being an employee to being an entrepreneur or being an investor to being a syndicator, and those transitions are different depending on what your background is. One of the big paradigm shifts is learning how to understand that the entire focus of syndication is to learn how to do things with other people. Robert Kiyosaki says all the time, as do we, that real estate investing is a team sport. And it is because you have teams, but you're largely a maverick. You're out there, you look at the deals, you make the decision, you arrange the financing, especially when you're small. But when you're starting to advance projects, multiple projects, invest in multiple markets, you're running multiple teams, it's way too much for one person, and you can't have your mind around everything. And so you have to transform from being a person who does things yourselves and understands how everything works and where everything is, to being somebody that understands how to manage teams and get things done through other people. And so you can see how Dave grew up learning how to do that, and Chad had to learn how to do that. And so I thought that was an interesting contrast.
Absolutely. And it is the big jump that you make. You know, we talk about this line that you cross when you become a syndicator, and that line is usually the line between investing in your own account and being 100% responsible for your decisions to now having a much higher standard because you're taking other people's money, which brings on a host of legal compliance issues and just all of that. But the other thing about crossing the line is you're going from that solo maverick, lone wolf to having to put a team together. We were just with a bunch of syndicators this weekend, and the neat thing to watch is most syndicators start on their own and they start to affiliate with team members. But before long, if they're going to be serious about this business, they're going to scale. In the coming weeks, you're going to meet lots of syndicators, including a gentleman that actually spends most of his investment time passively investing in other people's deals. So we'll get that side of the perspective, but we're excited to bring you the Summer of Syndication. Whether you're interested in investing in syndication or becoming a syndicator, I think you'll get some great lessons just from folks that started out in some place in their lives, like the two guys today, and have taken that to the next level. It's exciting stuff. So next week on the program, you meet 2 more syndicators. It's going to be a great summer. Until then, go out and make some equity happen.
This episode of the Real Estate Guys radio show is brought to you by Paradigm Life. Powerful cash management strategies using life insurance. Learn more at beyourbank.com. Mid-South Home Buyers, low-cost, turnkey cash flow properties in Memphis, Tennessee. Corporate Direct, asset protection strategies for real estate investors from attorney and rich dad advisor Garrett Sutton. Find these and other great companies under the Resources tab at realestateguysradio.com. To learn how you can expose your product or service to the Real Estate Guys audience, call 888-489-7723 extension 4. That's 888-489-7723 extension 4. Or use the feedback page at realestateguysradio.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week right here on the Real Estate Guys Radio Show.